By the end of today's episode, you'll know how a well-known Grammy and Emmy award-winning actress grew her own career and how you can do the same. Welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we help aspiring screen actors find high-quality auditions, sign with great agents, and book major roles in legit productions. I'm your host, Martin Benson, and today I have the opportunity to speak with actress Alisha Gaddis. She is an Emmy-winning actress and a multi-Grammy award-winning producer, writer, and filmmaker. She's developed and starred in content for major networks, including PBS, Netflix, CBS Freeform, and NBC Universal. She's published multiple best-selling books, and her work in music, TV, fashion, and film has earned her critical acclaim worldwide. All right. Hey, Alisha, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to have you. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get into the entertainment industry? And also, what were some of the challenges that you kind of faced at the beginning?
Ooh, Martin, those are good questions. I'm so glad to be here today. It's really exciting. I am a Grammy Award winner, Emmy Award winner, actress, author, all the things, producer. I have my hand in every pot. And I think, as many of us creatives, we always knew we were creative. And I definitely followed that path along with other backup plans. But then when it came down to it, I was like, there are no backup plans. I will do this and figure out how to do it. And I went to my background is I'm from a small town in Indiana. And then I got into New York University and went there and studied at Tisch and stayed in New York to do off Broadway and Broadway, and then moved to Australia to do a show at the Sydney Opera House. And I was at the Opera House doing an avant-garde movement piece there and doing work there. And then I moved to Los Angeles for a television show and have been here since then. And then I had a children's television show that I developed and created with my husband, and it was on PBS, and we won Emmys, and then we weirdly became giant sensations, superstars in Asia. And like we would travel to Asia right up until COVID, and we had a show there as well, a television show. And so my job has taken me on a wild path that I didn't set out for, but it's been incredibly special. And I think it's because of saying yes a lot. I think opportunity comes up sometimes in the way when we're younger. We think our career is going to be a specific way because that's all I knew. So that's all we know of, like, this is the one way to make art. This is the one thing. But I've had these beautiful opportunities because of that. And I think that the hard part was believing that there was a path. I think that when you are doing things that no one's really ever done, like my band became the very first band, very first children's band in North America to ever win a Latin Grammy ever in the history of the world. Yeah, so that's like, it was wild when it happened. And since then, several others from the United States have won this award. But I think when you're carving out things and hearing no, because people haven't dreamt it, they haven't seen it, to stay true to an idea is very hard.
It's so interesting, and I just think about, you're talking how you've got this dream and this thing which you're moving towards, but at the same time you're talking about how, like, the path is kind of like crazy, right? So talk just a little bit more about that concept. And I don't think it's one of the questions that I've written down here,
No,
but I
that's
just,
oh, whatever. We'll just have
yeah,
it. Love it.
yeah, I think that a lot of actors are kind of like, well, I have to, go this specific route. But you said that you said yes to a lot of things. So what kind of things were those things that you wound up saying yes to? And what, like, some actors may be like, oh, well, no one ever asks me. I would say yes if I could, and so it can kind of be scary, but talk a little bit about that.
Oh, I love this because I had a lot of thoughts when you were just saying that. And the core thing that I think it boils down to is I said yes to myself. What I mean by that is this is very specific, is I've always been in and still am in situations where I'm auditioning, I'm putting myself out there. I now write for film and television. I have a writing partner, I have managers, I have lit agents, I've sold books. So I'm constantly put like in a place where people are going to say yes or going to say no. So when I said yes to me, when I took control of my career was when I was in New York auditioning. And I was like, this feels crappy. This feels crappy. So that's when I started writing stand up. And I would start going to open mics and not just like improv, because I was doing improv, but I was writing stand up in order to tell my story, whatever that was, whatever small, large, whatever I could do. And stand up led to a one person show that I toured with that I pushed out that ended up selling out that then ended up touring. And then from that, I wrote different shows that based on my life that then I set in the process of pitching and selling. And to this day, I'm looking over here because you all can't see if you're listening to this, but I'm in my workspace and I have a giant cork board of a one person show, musical cabaret, weird avant garde thing that I'm writing because I I have to keep I want to control the yes. There's part of our careers as creatives that it's just, as we all know, really hard. I'll tell you what, everyone said, this is a swear to God true story. When we were pitching our children's television show, that won Emmys. That is like renowned children's work now. It's a big deal in the world of what we do. When we were pitching it, flown to New York, flown to these agencies, flown to television networks. No, no, hard no, hard no. My husband and I got married. We asked for the honey, that you can have honey funds. So people like give you, like, do they still have that? I don't know. It's like where people give you money and you like just like are like $100. You say like, this is going to be we said this is going to be our, which we did mean, we said this is going to be our honeymoon. It's like a honeymoon fund. And people give you like $100 for like quote unquote champagne or $50 instead of getting like towels or, things like that. Yeah. So we had saved, I think it was 20,000. We got like $20,000 from all that. Martin, that is how we made our television show. We did in 2 days, 28 episodes, brought in all of our friends for free or minimal, bought a space. My friend who's now one of the leads in Hamilton, Preston Muey, stood in front of the camera. We were so scrappy. He was doing live choreography that I was copying in the moment. Like we hustled hard and then we had this product with we did not have a honeymoon until years later because we used all that money. Like that's how hard we believed in our crazy dream that people kept saying no to. And then we went and pitched it and got it and we made it as is and had full creative control. We full own it for everything. But it boils down to people are always going to say no or yes, but oftentimes no more at every level, every level. And so you just have to keep like saying yes to yourself. And I think that is the hardest thing. But if you're making your own work, like you just have to make your own work. I when there was a book I wanted to get for my stepdaughter at the library and I didn't see it about a stepmother relationship, I wrote it. Like I was like, you just have, and then I sold it. And that was the first of 10 books that I've sold. And I think it's just, and it's not easy. This is a career that's lasted, 20 years I've been doing this. So I'm not like fresh out of the gate. This happened in 5 years. Like this is a career over time, but it's just the tenacity of reworking the journey.
Mm. So that's awesome. So basically, if I understand correctly, a lot of the success came from you essentially taking everything into your own hand and be like, I'm going to create this thing myself and I'll figure out how to, since everybody's saying no, I'm just going to shoot it myself and create it and put it out there and get distribution. Is that basically what you did? And eventually from taking all these risks, things started to come back to you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's when I say it's that you like nailed it, it's not like just a little bit. I mean, we've gotten breaks along the way. I've been grateful to like book some jobs and do this, but the foundation of my success and our family's success is that risk is is really believing in it. And so it's now been 8 days since we won a Grammy. And
Congratulations on
thank
that. It's so
you.
awesome.
Thank you. So it's our first general Grammy. We've had we have in the Grammy space, 7 nominations, 4 Latin Grammy nominations, 2 Latin Grammy wins, 3 general Grammy nomination, and this is our first win. And we beat John Legend and Alice Cooper. That's such a big
So,
deal in this small space. But he's the best, but we still but he doesn't mind. He has many. Uh, but the band, this album that we put out, Brio Brio, is we had a record label for one of the first times ever to do this album. And we're like, great, in record labels when they're producing your album, they give you like a chunk of change. They give you like some money and basically you pay that money back over time based on how many things you sell. Like it's just like a loan, right? So they give you all so we're like, great. We're gonna really put everything into this album, and we started hiring the people we wanted to work with and giving our band money. We're like, we finally get to pay everybody. We don't just have like deals where you get pizza and some beer. And then 10 days, Martin, 10 days before they were supposed to send the money and we had already put money out, they withdrew their contract. And it was devastating because it was like tens of thousands of it was a chunk of money.
mhm.
And we were devastated and we were like, what are we going to do? We were acting like we had record label money. And we said, and I was mad. It wasn't easy. It was hard. But we're like, we're still going to make this. We're still going to make this. We're going to have to tighten it up. We're going to do what we did 15 years ago when we were making our own stuff and we rallied the troops. And we at that point had to really be like, why did they drop us? Forget it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We cannot think about why. There's really no reason. I mean, there are tons of reasons to them, but they didn't give it to us. But we had to still believe in this little album so much that we had to start making cuts and figuring out how to get it done. And it was so hard. But then we had this album that we really did believe in again. And then to get it to win our first Grammy, our first general Grammy, after the studio pulled out was so huge. And I say that because there's just so many tests. There's so many tests that we come up against. Like, do you really believe in it? Do you really, and I'm not saying go to like take out loans and blow your money because you can do it for, this is all like fiscal stuff, but I've also done it like when I first pitched my very first book, well, not the stepmom book, my first monologue, comedic monologues that are actually funny by women, and I've done the whole series, the first gamut. The reason why I did the women's version is because I was hosting and producing live stand-up comedy shows. That's how I was making my money. Like that's what I was doing. I was producing. I was making very little in the circuits of all the places while I was auditioning and creating, and I was still writing and doing everything. And the women on the show were so funny and just like amazing. We're all friends and it was this great vibe and we were selling out shows. And the show would end and I'd be like, no one's going to hear their bit. That just happened in like Los Angeles. What can we do? So I had this idea and I was like, hey, everybody, can you send me your stand up, make it into a monologue? I'm going to pitch this book. And then it was some of my friends we licensed it, they owned everything. They got paid a very small amount, but everyone got paid based on how many monologues they were there. And then my friend Jenny Yang wrote for it. She's a huge comic now. My friend Jamie Brunton, she's a very successful writer. My friend Renee Gautier, who's a huge producer now. But back then we were all scrappy, just saying yes. I mean, we're still scrappy, but the amount of success of when also like you can pull in your friends, that didn't cost me anything to pitch that book. You know what I'm saying? So there's ways to do things. You don't have to have tens of thousands of dollars from a record label. I've just shot like some YouTube series and some content and did all this stuff that we're going to be putting together for this new project. And I think it was like, you know, just a little, we had to buy it, download a program. Like there's ways to do what you want to do.
Yeah. Definitely can figure the things out. That's mindset is such obviously an important part, and it leads to another question, which is not written down, but I have to ask how, so people might be thinking like, wow, it sounds like every single thing that you did was successful or whatever. How do you know that it's going to be successful? But I would guess, as someone who runs my own business and has had plenty of failures, that you've probably had some that weren't so successful. So talk to us about like, how if someone wants to follow that type of path and create their own thing, how do they know like, oh, is this going to be successful, or should they take the risk and then they keep going at it? What's your kind of mindset around that?
Oh, I love that. I think we always have to have when I creatively coach people, when I privately coach them, I always say, I can get you to the product. I can get you to write your own television show. I can get you to have a variety show. I can get you to finish producing an entire album. I can't get you to win a Grammy. I can't get you to win an Emmy. I can't get you a Tony. Like these variables are crazy and wild and the universe is magical and weird. But I think if you keep consistently putting out work, I have failed so many times. So I have 10 books I've published. I think I've probably pitched 25. So my biggest story is too, one of the things I define my belief system on is when I wrote my first book, She Loves Me All the Same. I didn't have a literary agent and I was like reading everything, like becoming obsessed. Like, how do you get a book published? Like, I think research is so important. Like, that's why this podcast is such a big deal. People need resources, they need to know how to do it. So when I was trying to get a literary agent, Martin, I emailed 282 people. 282. People don't believe me. I pull up the emails from 2016. There's 216. Like people are like, oh, I emailed 10 people and they all said no. I never heard back. You're not doing enough. You are not, you have to just like streamline focused on what the goal is. And then you can forget about the variables. I got two messages back. One was from like a really creepy dude who was like, this dude is going to be a really creepy agent. Listen to your gut. Listen to your gut, ladies and gentlemen, and they, thems. And the second person is my agent, Sarah Camilli. I've been with her that entire time. She now represents my husband and has sold three best-selling books for HarperCollins from him. Like our family is indebted to this one person out of all of those people who gave me a yes and wasn't creepy. And I can't even imagine, I cannot imagine how many auditions I haven't even gotten callbacks for. And I literally have an Emmy. Like not even gotten in the room sometimes. Like I have probably many scripts around Hollywood being pitched right now by my manager. I can't think about what's being said when it's out of my control. That's why I think it boils back down to just trying. And you fail, evaluate whatever fail means. Like why does that feel like a fail? But what was the success of it? Like how did you develop your skill set? What kind of connection? What did you learn about yourself? There's so much to learn. And as I look back over my life, some of the things that I am so proud of aren't the awards. It's like a short film I made that won some festival that we shot for the entire thing for like $2,000 in the middle of COVID. And then we had a skeleton crew of three people. One person, the person who was our DP, Carson Sargent, had never shot a film and borrowed his church's camera in the middle of the Midwest. And my husband was like, he's so talented, just like let him shoot this film. And I was like, eh. From that, I ended up getting a National Endowment for the Arts grant. That's huge. But it was literally these scrappy people. One is a nurse. The other person on set, our PA, was a nurse. Like people did not have but one thing leads to the other. I truly believe that. And it's hard. And it's hard, but it's worth it. It's very rewarding.
I think Another question that people who are listening to this might have, again, not written down because this conversation has gotten so much better than where it would have probably if I went on my
Aw, thanks,
original.
Martin.
But no, so let's say someone does create something, right? You
Yeah.
talked earlier about how you can coach someone into writing their production or even putting it all together and everything. But a lot of people, they do this whole thing and then they're like, okay, now what? And it's like, do I just post it on YouTube or what do I do at that point to even have a chance at it going somewhere?
Oh,
Can you talk
yeah.
about that?
Absolutely. Okay, there I get really excited about this because I think it's something that we don't tap into. I really don't. I think that people, that's once again like people see the journey and it's very straight. Whereas it's like you think of that's just like the tree trunk. Like let's think about all the roots. There's just like all the roots are spreading out. We have to be all the roots. There's this incredible book. It's a cookbook. Okay. Stay with me, everybody. I don't cook at all. Veto. Like, I am not allowed in the kitchen. My husband's like, you will burn the. I literally make a fantastic cheese plate and he left for a week. I did not know how to turn the dishwasher on. We all have our skills. I'm in charge of the finances and the laundry, but I don't cook. So, but this cookbook is incredible. It's called The Everlasting Meal. You don't have to get it. I'll summarize it for you. The whole thing about the everlasting meal is once you have a meal, whatever leftovers you have, you reuse them. You use them, you create something new. So, the whole example that she uses is a chicken, like a roast chicken, right? You have this beautiful roast dinner, you've got the potatoes, you've got the carrots, there's the au jus, you have a beautiful dinner. Okay. Then you take off the rest of the meat. It's the next day you have a taco with that, right? Then in the morning you got a little taco left over. You throw in an egg. You make it a chilaquile. You've still got the bones. You've still got the tops of the carrots. You've still got the au jus. You're gonna make that into a bone broth, right? You're gonna make the bone broth. You're gonna strain the bones out. You have this beautiful golden broth, which is actually better for you and need more needed than this chicken was to start out with. And from that, you can make your soups, you can have whatnot. We're going to use every piece of the chicken. So, what I think about this everlasting meal and why we should all be chickens in our career, but not chicken, right? That was a really bad, like, mom joke, dad joke that I stole. Is that so? Say you put up something, say you finish the show, and you're like, okay, I spent, I went in and I did it at this black box theater. I'm gonna go do it at the black box theater, this one person show or this short. Make sure that's videotaped. Make that into, I'm bringing up my phone, put that into reels, make that in stories, make that into a reel for your acting reel, put this on YouTube. Uh, uh, like send this to your agents, try to get agents with this little bit, try to then place it into festivals, try to put it up again. I mean, literally take that one thing and work it in every single angle you could possibly work it at, because now you can't just be a creator. You can't, I mean, you can, but you can't just be like a theater actor or just a television actor. I mean, the happy few live maybe in that, but I believe that we're like multimedia creators. And right now, we have such a plethora of assets to do that with. There's so many places that your content can live. So, yes, like you were saying, we were talking about podcasts. Podcasts used to just be audio, and now they're visual with a compartment on YouTube. Then that could be little shorts where you pull little places that you're putting little like commercials on your social media. You're teasing it into something else. You're doing a mailing with that. I think just use every single part of that chicken and make it look like it's worth even more, because that bone broth, that last bit, often is like what's gold.
Nice. So if I'm understanding what you're saying, then it's when you create something, you don't just go and immediately, let's say, upload it to YouTube or just whatever. You want to take it and do as much as you possibly can with it. And I've literally gotten into rotisserie chickens and doing exactly what you said, which is kind of funny.
It's
My
fun.
wife bought a chicken a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna pull as much out of this as possible. I love that analogy, and I think that it definitely makes sense. And I'm sure that there's books that people can read or research that you could do, or even using tools like ChatGPT to just be like, where are all the possible places that I could post something like this, or that I could, where should I reach or consider sending this to be able to get an agent or to be able to get distribution or whatever it is, that you should not just create the thing, but you should also kind of have sort of a game plan in mind for what you're going to do once it is created. Because I'm guilty of this as well. I've made two feature films myself. One was when I was
Oh,
in, yeah, one was when I was in college, and I sent that one to some film festivals, and it was a decent movie. It was a hip hop movie actually, and it had
oh,
some good
cool.
music and stuff, but I didn't really do much research on what else to do besides sending it to some festivals. And so it never really did much. And then I wound up posting it on YouTube. And then my second film, I didn't do anything really with that one either. And so it was kind of like I put all this effort in and then I didn't. I remember a business coach saying that that's like called failure of the last mile. It's like you you want to organize a great, let's say, barbecue with your friends for the weekend, and you want everybody to come, and you're emailing them weeks and weeks in advance, and everybody's like, yeah, looking forward to this. And then like the day before, you forget to send out an email reminding people and sending them the address, and then the whole thing like falls apart at the last minute, you know. And it's like, so you have to like think about what are you going to do with it afterwards, and how can you get the most out of it. And I love that. Now, this somewhat, I guess, leads into this next question, but I'll let you kind of take this where you want. What would you say is either the biggest or some of the biggest mistakes that you see actors making that can hold them back from booking work?
Being late. Like literally show up and be on time. I have been on the other side of the, and I know people say that be- because it is all also reputation. I I'm in rooms sometimes and I have no reason to be there. Like maybe I'm supporting a friend. You know, a lot of my friends have different projects, but you remember in that room, maybe later on I am casting something or I'm producing something, which I do. So I'm I'm not thinking about, oh, maybe that person, I'm not judging it. But if that person is late, doesn't show up, is has a bad attitude. You don't see the bad attitude as much. Like I don't really mess with that. That's not in my sphere. I'm just like, I don't have time for you. But and I'm not saying like you're late like one time 15 minutes. I'm saying if there's always a reason because there's an internal voice of self-sabotage. So what being late or not showing up or being, oh God, I can't get this audition in. Like I have this audition today and I am booked up. But the thing, I have to be like, okay, the priority really is this audition because I need to do it. Like, this is for real. I actually have an audition that I need to do. But I'm booked, and then we're having a party, and I have to the party tonight, and then I have to get my daughter to the tutor, and I'm going on a walk with my friend, and I have a client. This. I can self-sabotage and not take time to learn my audition, to put in the work, call it in because oh, am I gonna really book this? Like the monologue in your head starts. Oh, I'm not gonna book this national bot because they're not gonna. No, I don't have time for this. Like we all do it, and it's at the core. That's like so it's the first layer is oh I'm late. The second layer is making excuses, like going down. We're going from the top to the bottom. The bottom is low self-worth. It's confidence, it's low self-worth. So those are related to me. And confidence, you can fake it, try it, change it. Self-worth, I do feel like we could all work on. Because where the self-worth comes from, whether it's systemic, it's the work, it's the society we're living in, it's been told a million times we're not enough, we're not right. Maybe we weren't supported in the way that we deserve. That that is in us. So we have to be like, I am enough. I am enough exactly as I am. That's goes back to why I create work for myself, is because sometimes I do not fit in those roles. People don't know what to do with me. They're just like, what do you do with someone who's both of these things? What's the role? Oh, she's too accomplished for this, not accomplished enough for that. This is this, blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna make the work I want. That goes back to my self-worth. I'm good enough to be seen. I'm good enough to be heard because it's my mission in life. It's what I love. It brings me joy, and I hope it does that for others. So when you're thinking, oh God, this audition's not for me, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to call it in, I'm going to be late. Oh, I can leave in 20 more minutes. I'm going to just finish watching this. Like, no, you're worth it. Like, get there on time, get seen. Don't stress yourself out because you deserve to not feel, you deserve to put your dream slash goal first. I think it's all connected.
Nice. As you were talking about all of that, I was kind of thinking about how almost like kind of related back to the previous question that we were talking about, right? How like putting yourself out there and being like, oh, do I want to do this? It's interesting because you said that you started right in stand up, or you were doing a lot of stand up towards the beginning, right?
Yeah.
As your own sort of created project. And I was thinking like just from a business standpoint, this is slightly an aside, but just from a business standpoint, what's really interesting is A, that helped you kind of develop probably some level of inner self-confidence, right? Because you're getting the feedback
Yeah.
from people when
Yeah.
a joke doesn't land, you're like, when
It's
it
scary.
does, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I can do this. It
Yeah.
also helped you get very quick feedback from people. So you actually developed a good sense of what people like and what people don't like, which also probably allowed you to have a better chance of success later on in other endeavors that you've done because you had that like feedback and understanding from people. And
Mhm.
so it's interesting because you're talking, all about like going to the audition, showing up on time, not letting these little things get in your way. And it's sort of like the more that you do that stuff, it's not even just that each one of those things is another opportunity necessarily, but it's also that each of those things that you are showing up for is helping you continue to develop that confidence and get a better sense of what people like and don't like, that feedback that you were building, all of that stuff. Every single thing is so valuable and it kind of like all goes together. You can't like, it's so easy to let things, I'll be honest, you're talking about your audition that's coming up later today. I was like stressing out a lot this morning because I couldn't get the microphone and the camera set up to work for this Zoom thing. And I was like, oh, am I going to have to like reschedule this? I'm like, this is terrible. I'm so busy. There's so much going on. And I'm like, no, I'm going to figure this out. And so like I connected this microphone to like my clothing rack that I have here for people to put their stuff up in my studio. And I'm like, I got it working. You figure out what needs to happen and you get it.
Out. I love that, Martin. I love that you're honest because that's what we need too, is like people like I'm always honest about stuff like that. Like what you see is what you get with me. Like I'm like I'm recording in my closet, or I also am on the stage at a Grammys. Like both of these things are true. And I think that I often say after something really hard happens, like where, I don't even know. I can't. It's so many things all the time. Something just happened yesterday where it's like I couldn't get to something on time and my tripod fell over. Oh, there was feedback on all this stuff for this other thing I was doing. And I'm like, universe, I know you're testing me right now, but I really want to finish this. So can you please just like go do something else for a little bit? Because I know this is a test and I'm just going to push through it. And I think sometimes I really do feel like the universe slash the universe inside of us wants to just see like, are they really going to do the thing? Right? You had an opportunity to just, I mean, of course we could have rescheduled. I would have been like, of course. But in that moment to be like, okay, you either could be like, F it, or you could be like, we are doing this, and maybe something weird happens, but we do it, we show up. It's like showing, and I know it's so stupid, but it's so true. As your career continues, I think it is a constant reminder, like to show up to yourself, to show up to the work, because at the end of the day, I feel so fortunate that I've surrounded myself with a great team, with great collaborative partners. Like, I love it. I love working with people, but like you said, you wake up and you're the one doing it. You wake up and you're the one that's showing up. You're the one that's sending the emails, the follow-ups, the thinking of idea, like, and as much as you even have like creative coaches or teachers or mentors, we have to be the one that gets in and goes, right? We have to put our shoes on and walk outside the house. And so we have to have the tools to fall back on of being like, send that next email. Okay, you got rejected for this one. Okay, forget it. There's like that's the other thing I would press people to remember kind of at the beginning, how I was like saying yes and opportunity that there's so many yeses that we don't even know exist. Like, there are opportunities that you're gonna have someday that we don't even know to dream about. Like jobs that I've had, I never thought I'd be like a superstar in China with my face on billboards and kids wearing buttons of me in sold out stadiums. It's wild. But was that on the dream? No, that was not the dream. It became a dream. I loved it. But there are opportunities in your career if you put in the work, I believe, work and work and continue working on your talent and your craft, that then things will open up. And it's hard, but it's worth it.
Totally. That's awesome. Um, my second to final question is just,
Okay.
if you were starting over today, is
Hmm.
there anything that you would do differently?
I mean, I'm really grateful for my career. I think about that a lot. I think I was a, I don't know. Because if I think about, oh, I would have done this, then this would have changed. And I would have done this. I'm a real thinker like that. I was a really um, incredible type A perfectionist all through school, into college. And then in college, I started like, because I didn't want to be where I was from. Grateful, but I was like, nobody's like me. Everyone's staying in this town. I need to get out. How do I get to a city I've never even been to? Like, I'd never been to New York City when I moved there to go to NYU. Like, I just knew I'd never been out of the country, I'd never been out of the state. Like, I just knew that there were other things. So I couldn't change who I was, but I think, and I started like loosening up a little bit, like, I'm going to study abroad and I'm going to try these things. I'm going to go study opera and I'm going to go do painting and then go to hip hop things and I'm going to go like, but I think that all added to the tapestry of who I am. So looking back, I don't want to not have grace and be like, I wish I would have tried harder. I wish I would have pivoted this way. I wish I would have grinded and when I was when I was in this show, would have publicized more. I love where I am in this life. I do wish sometimes it was had there was a little more ease in life in general. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't make all these mistakes, but I just think that I think looking back and having grace on all the versions of myself is really important to who I am right now. I think if you had asked me maybe even 5 years ago, I think I would have had like very definitive answers of I would have done this, I would have done this. But where I am now is more expansive, that I can say, oh, all of that was like what I'm going to use for now.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good. There's a lot of things that you can look back and be like, oh, I wish that I had maybe done that differently, but it's oftentimes like when you think about each of the things that you did do sort of contributed to where you are now, or didn't sort of contribute. They really did create who you are now. And so it's, I don't know, I think it's just kind of good practice also to every, like once in a while, like 6 or 12 months, you look at where you are and you say, uh, am I happy with this? How can I enjoy my life more? And how can I continue moving towards my goals? And sort of not getting into, like, one thing that I know can happen to people is they sort of, it could be 5 or 10 years before they think about that. And then suddenly they're like, what happened the past 10 years or whatever? And they're just like, get caught up in the grind. But I
That's a
think,
really good point. Not to like get, I mean, I think that is such a good point, and I will that's really important because every 6 months and every year I do a huge goal setting session where I have goals, macro, micro, each goal is broken down into a timeline. I evaluate the whole year month by month. Every single month, I do a whole intake about what went well of the month, what I did, what my new goals are. I have daily goals. Like, I'm not like, everything's gonna be fine. Like, I am incredibly strategic. My dad was a football coach. So I'm always studying the plays before and then figuring out the new playbook.
Mhm.
So, like, in terms of like, I think that's why there's the honesty of like, well, in that moment, I think I tried the best that I could. I tried this play. I tried to throw a Hail Mary and it didn't work. But I could have like, I could have just like gone for like eight yards and we would have made the first down. Then we could have moved down the field and we could have won. But like the crowd was going wild when I tried a Hail Mary, right? So I think that's so important that people are genuinely doing like intake sessions monthly, bi-yearly, and I do it, like I said, a huge one yearly. With I often do it with a group of women as well, like creatives that I trust that we can like reflect upon each other and kind of just get in a creative space. So that's important in community too.
Nice. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with listeners or watchers today?
Oh,
Including info if you're open to sharing about your own coaching work. I know that you do some
oh
of that
yes.
too.
I take only a slight, please reach out to me if you have if you want to connect. You can always find me on my Instagram, Alisha Gaddis here, which I'm sure you'll put on there somehow. But yeah, I have a big upcoming project this year that I can't wait to share about. And yeah, we just won the Grammy, and I have a film in post production right now that I shot with a bunch of grant money I got, and it's in the final stages of post. So I can't wait to use the whole chicken when that comes out and use my own advice and hopefully get it out there. But this year is a really exciting year, I think, of new art. Last year did a real self-evaluation of like where do I actually want to go, and so this year I imagine I'm going to be putting more and more content out into the world. So yeah, follow along. Let's like share with me your journey, and like I'm happy to answer people's questions if they DM me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
I appreciate it. Thank you all for listening.
Well, thanks for listening. Now, if you want to dive even deeper on how other well-known actors have grown their careers, I highly recommend checking out my podcast called Harrison Ford's Secrets to Success, which is episode number 74. You'll learn how he used a completely unrelated career path, carpentry, to open up major doors to acting opportunities. Check it out. Again, it's episode number 73, Harrison Ford's Secrets to Success on the Actor's Career Compass. Finally, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, you can learn more about how that works on my website, martinbenson.com. I'd love to speak with you and see if you'd be a good fit for my coaching program. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.